All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into one of the most, disturbing and frankly revealing stories of our time. And that's the case of Jeffrey Epstein. You've seen this phrase everywhere, right? It went way beyond just a meme. It became this global code, a shorthand for a really deep public distrust in the very institutions that are supposed to protect us. It taps into that chilling feeling that if you have enough money and power, the rules just don't apply. So the real question is, why did this one man's death pull back the curtain on such a terrifying truth about power? To really get why this story still has such a grip on all of us, we've got to go back and figure out how a guy like Jeffrey Epstein was even possible in the first place. Okay, let's get into it. So first, let's talk about his mysterious rise. Honestly, Epstein's career is like a masterclass in failing upwards. It's this absolutely bizarre story where every single time he should have been finished professionally, every disaster, it didn't just not stop him. It somehow catapulted him even higher. I mean, just look at this timeline. You see this stunning pattern, right? He gets fired from a prestigious school for creepy behavior, and he lands a job at a top investment bank. Then he gets forced out of that bank, only to get mixed up in a massive Ponzi scheme. And get this, he just walks away completely clean while his partner gets 20 years in prison. You see what I mean? He dodges bullets that would have ended anyone else's career for good. And all the while, he was building this carefully crafted public image. He wanted everyone to see him as this quirky financial genius, a generous philanthropist who was friends with people like Stephen Hawking. But that was just a mask. The reality was so much darker. The financial genius, a con man. The science philanthropist, a sexual predator. The friend to the elite, a blackmailer. So how did he pull all this off? Well, he definitely didn't operate in a vacuum. His entire empire power was really built on two absolutely crucial relationships. These are what gave him the money, the access, and this feeling that he was totally untouchable. Okay, so let's break down these key enablers. First, you have Leslie Wexner, the billionaire founder of Victoria's Secret. He was basically Epstein's only real client, and he gave Epstein complete control over his massive fortune. Then there's Ghislaine Maxwell. She was his social architect. She's the one who introduced him to Prince Andrew, to politicians, to celebrities. So you've got Wexner providing the money, and Maxwell unlocking all the doors to the global elite. But here's the thing about Maxwell. Behind the scenes, she wasn't just his social partner. The courts found she was his primary recruiter and enabler, the one finding, grooming, and delivering young girls. And that's the really crucial point. His criminal enterprise wasn't separate from his high society life. They were completely intertwined. Okay, let's fast forward to 2005. This is when the mask really starts to slip. Police in Palm Beach, Florida uncover this horrifying network of abuse. This leads to a massive 53-page federal indictment. This should have been it, right? This should have put him away for life. But it didn't. So what happened? Instead of facing those federal charges, and we're talking a potential life sentence, his team of high-powered lawyers managed to broker a secret deal. This non-prosecution agreement was just unbelievably lenient. It felt less like justice and more like a favor. And the worst part? It was all done in secret, completely hidden from his victims, so they never even had a chance to object. So, for crimes that federal investigators said were worthy of life in prison, how much time did he actually serve? 13 months. That's it. And even that sentence, well, it wasn't exactly what you'd call hard time. Because just look at the perks that came with this so-called jail sentence. It was a total farce. He got work release for up to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. He was kept in a private, unlocked part of the jail, and maybe the most shocking part of all, the deal granted this sweeping immunity to everyone involved, all known and even unknown co-conspirators. It's a textbook example of a two-tiered justice system. And what happened after he got out? It's incredible. His social life didn't just recover. You could argue it actually got better. He was right back to hosting parties with big names like Woody Allen and Prince Andrew. There's this quote from a CEO's wife that just says it all. The only thing that gets you shunned in New York society is poverty. A jail sentence doesn't matter anymore. He wasn't an outcast. He was still in the club. But this story was far from over. Let's jump to 2018. A bombshell investigation by the Miami Herald, they called it perversion of justice, just blew the whole thing wide open again. It forced the world to finally look at what had happened, and it kicked off the final, explosive chapter of his life. with all this new attention, his victims, they finally had a platform. Their voices, their stories, they were finally being heard. And it was a powerful, gut-wrenching reminder of the very real human cost behind all the headlines. As one victim said, the loss of innocence, trust, and joy, that's just not something you can ever get back. And this all leads to that final chapter. The newspaper series exposes the secret deal. Then, in July 2019, Epstein is arrested again. But just about a month later, he's found dead in his jail cell. The official cause was ruled a suicide, but the timing, the circumstances, it sparked this massive wave of public suspicion. Guards falling asleep, cameras malfunctioning, it all felt way too convenient. And even years later, just look at the numbers on public trust. They're staggering. It doesn't matter what your politics are, the vast majority of Americans simply do not buy the official story. Only 13% believe the government isn't covering something up, and a full 80% of people say they still want more answers. That tells you everything. In the public's mind, this case is anything but closed. And this is really the heart of why this story still matters so much. When Epstein died, the federal case against him died too. Poof, gone. And that left this long list of powerful associates and alleged co-conspirators totally unaccountable. The biggest question, who else was involved, has never been answered by the authorities, and that has left this deep, open wound. Ultimately, the Epstein saga dragged a really sickening truth out into the light, that if you have enough money and connections, you can buy more than just fancy houses and private jets. You can buy a complete exemption from justice. It forces us to ask a really uncomfortable question. When the rules don't apply to the powerful, do the rules really exist at all? And that leaves all of us wondering about the